Hello and welcome to another episode of a Brothers Creed podcast. We're talking about motivation, experiences, and exploring the world around us. We're the Thomas Brothers. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Jared, and this is our final episode of 2022. So today we're going to be kind of recapping the year a little bit. We're going to be talking about some of our initiatives that we have for the podcast in 2023, and also some personal, we're going to each share a personal goal, so we're always excited for the new year. If you're new around here, we always love this time of year for goal planning and for just getting ready. And it's an exciting time to really plan out what you want to do in your future, what kind of future you want to have, right?
Yeah, evaluate your current state, how you did on your goals last year, and then kind of reevaluate and put new goals forward and maybe some rollover from last year.
That's right. So one of the things that I think that we do a little bit differently than a lot of other podcasts is we like to change up the intro. I think that it's just fun to do different intros. Each year we've had a different intro for the podcast. And at our 100th episode, we actually ran through both of those intros and talked about them. So we want to introduce to you, our audience, our 2023 intro. And then we'll talk about that for a little bit. So let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Most valuable commodity I know of is information.
And that, my friends, is called integrity. That's called courage. Now that's the stuff leaders should be made of.
Either you're somebody or you're nobody.
You're not the devil. You're practice.
All
right, so that was it. What'd you think?
I think it's awesome. So typically what we do, for those of you who are not familiar, or for those of you who skip the intro at the beginning of the episodes, so we have this sick music that we put on there, kind of this background music, and then Jared and I really like quotes from movies and books and everything like that. But we go through and we pull some quotes that we think are not only like really cool, but that are kind of these, creed building quotes. Like how does this apply to a Brothers Creed podcast? We've had lots of different ones over the past, this is the third iteration that we're putting together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So I guess for those of you who are trying to figure out, so the first quote is from John Wick. And that's when...
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
That's from the first one, when they're like, oh, are you back, John? Are you back? Yeah, are you back into the assassin?
He's a retired hitman,
yeah, and
everything, and then he gets thrust back into the industry.
So it's kind of a cool show.
Yeah, it's a cool show. I don't know.
The next one is where he says, it's from the movie Wall Street with the infamous Gordon Gekko. And he says, information is the most valuable commodity that I know of. You think about that, and having information, the right information, is so critical in changing your life, or in the case of the movie, investing. It was the information that allowed him to invest and make a bunch of money, although it was inside information. But information is incredibly valuable. So that's what we try to provide on the podcast is information, motivational information, experiences from guests that we have on.
Information is power.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. Stories from the past, and all kinds of stuff. So that's one of the...
Yeah,
I like that one.
The third quote there is from a movie called Scent of a Woman, and that is Al Pacino. And he is a blind former military officer who is defending a young kid at a kind of a prep school that private school this kid went to, and the kid got involved in some different things, and he wouldn't rat out his classmates for something pretty big that happened, and he was getting bribed, and he was getting all sorts of kind of stuff. Well, Al Pacino comes in and he's kind of like a lawyer figure in this time, and he just slays the entire board, and he just lays it down in this amazing speech about leadership and accountability and what it is to be a man and masculinity, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a cool one. The next one is, I believe that was the one where he says, this is from American Gangster. He says, you're either somebody or you're nobody. And I think it's interesting, to think about in that as we go through life, I want to be someone who's has an impact. I think that's kind of what it means to me.
Yeah.
Is have an impact on my community, have an impact on my family, or you're being a nobody. There's lots of guys and gals in this world, they just go through and they just play video games all day and they just don't talk to anybody and they just assume not be involved or with anything. They just want to go to their house, go to work, come home, don't talk to anybody, don't do anything.
Yeah, what impact have they left on the world? What positive, what good have they done?
I think that if you have the mindset of like, I'm actually here on this earth to make an impact on those around me, I bet you that'll change the way you act at work.
Interestingly enough, on Christmas Day, we watched It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah?
Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
So basically, he goes through his whole life, and he's has ups and downs, and then he is given the opportunity by an angel or by a almost angel to see what the world would be like if he wouldn't have existed. Basically, if he would have died as a child and wouldn't have existed, how would everyone's life have been? And then it kind of goes through all the different people, and he sees the impact that he had on everyone's life around him, and just the happiness that he was able to bring, and the progress and the achievement that he was able to lift others up around him. And it really gave him kind of a whole new outlook on life, and saying, there's no reason to be, even in the depths of despair, there's no reason to not appreciate life and those around you and everything else. So,
yeah,
really kind of interesting story.
Yeah, exactly. So then you do the last one, Ethan. This was one that you had specifically
Which
called
was
out.
that one again?
You're not the devil.
Oh,
Your
yeah, that
practice.
one's so that one is from Batman Begins, Christian Bale, and this is before he becomes Batman. He's kind of, roaming around the world and just kind of picking fights and building his own persona. And he's in this Chinese prison, and he's in the food line, and some big guy comes up to him and slaps his food out of his hand, and he's like, "Whoa, big man," all this whatever, and he goes, this Chinese guy looks at him and goes, "I am the devil." And Christian Bale looks back at him and goes, "You're not the devil, you're practice." And then he just starts this massive fight, and then it's like 12-on-1, and then he's just whooping them all in the mud, and then the security guards come in, and they're like, he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Why are you stopping it?" And they're like, "For protection." And he's like, "I don't need protection." He's like, "For them." And it's like the other 12 guys that were attacking him. But that's a cool one. That was just kind of like, taking accountability, like seeing an obstacle in front of you and being like, you're not the devil.
I'm the storm.
Yeah. Your practice.
What is that? What is the quote that fate says to the warrior, "A storm's coming," and the warrior says, "I'm the storm."
Yeah.
So that's a new intro. Hopefully you guys like it, and because you're going to hear it at the beginning of every episode this entire year. But I think it's pretty cool. So we want to talk a little about what do we got planned for this year for the podcast. So we've got we're switching things up just a little bit. We're going to try doing something a little bit new, and we think that y'all like it, and Ethan and I are excited for it. We're going to switch up kind of the topics. So really, in every month, we're going to try to hit 4 main types of podcasts. Usually the first episode, now this is not always the case. In fact, for this month of January, it's actually going to be a little bit different. But usually we're going to have, one of the weeks is going to have an attribute, which we're going to you talk about attributes like humility was our first, was our first episode,
Yeah.
right? Or habits.
We talk about habits.
Or
Yeah,
we talked about, confidence versus
arrogance.
And so we'll talk about something like that. Usually
like an attribute breakdown.
Exactly. Those episodes are likely going to be about 30 minutes. We want to keep those short, but pack them full of good insights. And then we're going to do another week during the month where we're going to do a movie review. We're going to introduce this where we're going to watch a movie that's recently come out. Most of the time, they're probably ones that have recently come out or that
relatively new.
And then we'll give you the idea is that maybe like the first 5 minutes, we'll give you a non-spoiler review to tell you what we thought, if you should go see it or not. And then and then more in the episode, we'll do the spoiler actual review where we talk about the actual movie, what we thought about it. So maybe if you'd like, oh, hey, I've been thinking about this movie. These guys recommended it. They said it was good. Listen to the first 5 minutes of the thing, then come back later and then just see what we thought.
Yeah, or if you want to compare your opinion of the movie to our opinions of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because Jared and I, we agree on a lot of stuff, but a lot of times, like movies, we kind of differ on stuff. There's I think sometimes we're more critical than the other one, and
I'm more critical.
I'm
much more critical of movies than
I'm typically like, oh, it was a pretty good movie, and Jared's like, that sucked.
That movie was garbage.
But we'll break it down, and we have kind of like a whole ranking
rating system
that's related to a Brothers Creed and how how we're gonna score the movies. So it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, and then. You want to talk about the other 2 weeks of the month, either?
Yeah. So the next week, so maybe the third week of the month, we're gonna do kind of our typical episodes, right? These are like we'll call them our story episodes, where we'll talk about anything from history to a certain topic to this is where we'll do maybe more some of our theatrical episodes that we do, like our Halloween episodes and different things like that.
Like the ones we've done some about like
collaborations,
famous duos. Mm-hmm. What was the other one? Oh, inventions. Oh, what was the other one we did?
Spies.
Yeah, it was Spies. That was a good one.
Yeah, so that'll be kind of like our traditional, and those will be a little bit longer, kind of, packing in the stories and the details there. And then the last one, we don't want to forget, really kind of one of the most fun parts of the podcast is interviews, getting to know people.
Experiences.
Yeah, exploration. Exploring new things, new topics. If there's something that Jared and I are interested in, then we're just like, hey, let's go find somebody that does that. And let's go find 10 people that do that and reach out and see if somebody will answer us.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so, we're definitely going to keep the interviews in there and growing that knowledge, that relationships with other people. We've built a lot of great relationships with people through the podcast, and it gives us an excuse to go out and talk to people and not be weird.
Yeah, it's a fun. We who's the most famous person? I think.
Right now, probably Dane the Great.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, he was really cool. He's down to earth. Yeah, he's got.
Yeah, we talked to him early in his rise.
Right when
fame.
he was about to take off. Now he's got probably 2.5 million subscribers.
Yeah, that was a good episode. What episode was that?
I don't think that was not last year. I think that was the year before.
That was this year.
Maybe it was this year.
I don't remember exactly which one that was.
But there was a lot of good episodes this past year. There was a lot of cool stories. This year was really just it was a great building year. Even though the market and the economy wasn't as good as
terrible.
We would have hoped, right? But it was a great opportunity to kind of grow personally, and I personally feel that kind of my creed has been built and has been improved just by doing these episodes and by learning more. It really, that's the whole goal. Yep, that's the whole goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was episode 47, by the way, with Dane the Great, Southern Dad. That was this year. Actually, no. 2021. That was in 2021. You're right. Yeah, it was in 2021. But yeah, improving our creeds, being better men. What a great time to do that is in the new year. So, Ethan, I know we were each going to share one of our own personal goals, something that we do or that we are focusing on this year. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I look back on this previous year, and kind of like I said at the beginning, do an evaluation of what my current state is, what my state was when I started the year, and then what I want it to look like next year. And so this year I was able to do a lot of personal growth. I would say I this past year I lost about 40 pounds, and so that just for me, it was able to do 2 triathlons and just kind of grow personally and really kind of get a little bit more control over myself. But really going into this next year, my goal, and my wife and I do this thing where we pick a word that's going to be our word for the year. And my 2023 word is discipline. And that is something that I really want to implement in my life, is better discipline. Discipline with working out, discipline with focus, discipline with distractions. We did a whole episode on distractions, and anything from social media to your phones or the TV or anything like that. So discipline to me is going to help me to hone. I feel like coming from someone who has likes to. What did I say that one time? Grind on things in the garage.
Yeah.
I kind of got into a little thing where I was making some knives, like some custom knives. I just not really blacksmithing, but you get in and you start with the blank
piece of metal,
and then you go in and you kind of do your rough structure and you break it down a little bit, and maybe you do your bevels, which is just a very rough grind. Then I feel like this year for me is going to be kind of the honing year, where I can really go in and I can hone that edge and I can sharpen it and I can really become a more efficient tool. And that's my goal. And so I'd kind of gathered together a couple things here, kind of some quotes and a definition of personal discipline. But it says personal discipline refers to the ability to control one's own actions and behaviors in order to achieve a particular goal or to live according to a set of values or principles. It involves setting personal standards for oneself and holding oneself accountable for meeting those standards. So putting together currently a plan of how I'm going to keep myself accountable, how Jared can help keep me accountable, how you guys can help keep me accountable. Personal discipline can be developed through practice and repetition, and it also requires making difficult choices and sacrifices. Some examples of personal discipline may include, and this is kind of where I got some of my things, but exercise regularly, following a healthy diet, managing your finances more responsibly, staying organized and on top of tasks and responsibilities. Developing personal discipline can be, and I'm sure it will be, extremely challenging, but I feel that it is a skill that is going to help me to continue to improve and lead my family, lead those that I work with, lead different people that I am involved with on a daily basis. And so discipline, Ethan 2023. I'm going to be the most disciplined person by December of next year, that it's just going to be like, man, nobody can keep up with that guy.
There you go. I think for me this year, like part of it was like some of my goals were like financial goals when the market absolutely freaking tanked. I almost like stopped looking at my goals because it just made me depressed.
Yeah.
So I think I learned something this year in that, like, even though like some things are happening or some stuff is out of your control, I think it's good to reevaluate and just recommit to a different goal or adjust your goal if something extreme has happened. And that way it's better to have an adjusted goal than to just ignore the goal that you had in the beginning and just don't do anything. So for me, when I do my goals, I do like a comprehensive, kind of a full thing. I kind of have a couple different categories. One is health, relationships, podcast, goals with the podcast, readiness and kind of preparedness. Then I have some other, and then I have some work goals. For me, like for example, like with health, I have goals for sleeping. Like I want to sleep better, or how I want to do that. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've been doing that, so I have a couple goals with that. The gym, what I want to do with that. Just health generally, like I want to try doing saunas more this year. I want to try some of that red light therapy we've talked about.
There you go. Build that testosterone.
Yeah, I want to do some more stretching, cold showers. Try to do that. I've been trying to do that the last 2 days, dude. It's so cold.
it's miserable.
It's hard, man. But anyway, trying to do that. Ethan swears by it, so trying to do that. And then like nutrition. So those are all under health, and I have sub goals under each one of those. For some people this may be too much, but for me, it just kind of helps me put like my mind, like what do I want for this aspect of my life. One thing that I think that is important is that like, and I've shared this on our Instagram, is that it's important to go do stuff with your wife. And when I say go do stuff, I don't mean just like go out to a movie or go out to dinner. Like go do big stuff. And so like I think one of my goals this year is going to be try to do something that's like kind of big, impactful. I mean, not like huge, but like go do something that's a little bit different, at least quarterly. Like go see a play, or like this past December, this 2 weeks ago, we went to a holiday gala. It was like a black tie formal affair, and it was really fun getting dressed up. And then like I wore a tuxedo. I had like this red velvet tuxedo. Looked super sharp.
You guys did look good.
Also, I had a bow tie that I had to tie myself. It took me literally like 2 hours to tie that tie. My biceps were so like destroyed after trying to, because like you have your hands up on your neck, for like 2 hours straight. Surprisingly, that was difficult, but I got it and it looked pretty sharp. So anyway, but the point is that, doing something that's a little bit abnormal, creating those memories, and doing something to show that you keep that romance alive and show your partner that you love them, I think is critically important, especially when you have all these kids and sometimes it gets lost. And that doesn't mean those are aside from regular dates. So try to do something a little bit more. So that's one of my goals this year, is to do something a little bit more, because I enjoy it too. It's fun to just go do different things that are a little bit more than just like a regular dinner date with a movie or whatever.
Yeah, I think a partnership goal is definitely a good thing.
Hey man, we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have these great women to support us in our lives.
Definitely true.
And so thankful to them, and it's important to maintain that great relationship. I think, because if that falls apart, then everything else falls apart, man.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what you said. It's sometimes your goals get kind of slaughtered, and then maybe if I had a goal to build up and do an Ironman, which that's not going to happen this year, but maybe another triathlon. But and then I break my leg halfway through training, that would be devastating.
Yeah,
I mean, it happens too. And so it's like, so am I just going to throw that entire thing out the window? No, you can adapt, improvise, and overcome.
Yeah. Right? I know a lady that was training for an Ironman, and like 2 weeks before the Ironman, she fell on her bike, got a concussion, and she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Her doctor said, don't do it. You have a concussion. You could die. And so a serious concussion too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But yeah, so I encourage everybody else out there who hasn't done their goals yet, you still have a few days. Go ahead and do your goals and get ready for this new year.
Write them down.
Yes. Write them down. Tell somebody about them, and let's be the person that you want to be this year.
Yeah.
So one of our podcast goals this year is we want to kind of we want to get to know other podcasters. We want to get to maybe start like a mastermind for other podcasters where we can come together, share ideas and stuff. So if you have a podcast, reach out to us. We'd like to invite you to our new mastermind where we talk about stuff and talk about ideas and stuff like that, and maybe cross-pollinate, be guests on each other's shows and stuff. So that's one thing that we're thinking about doing for the podcast that will help get to know like-minded people and also maybe grow the podcast itself. So gotta have goals. If you don't have goals, I know a lot of people poo-poo this time of year. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
I hate this time of year because then just come January, end of January, everybody's giving up on their goals anyway. It's like, oh, so you want to be one of those people who just gives up on your goals?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I hate it because now I'm going to go to the gym. There's going to be like a bunch of other people there.
That does suck. I will say that. Man, the gym's already freaking overcrowded.
Yeah, you just got to be supportive of other people and their goals. And come February, that'll wane off.
Yeah. Thing is, though, that's... I don't... Yeah, a lot of people that come to the gym, they're noobs, and so they don't know how to act in the gym. They don't know appropriate gym etiquette, so that's kind of a downside.
Which is a true thing.
You got these knuckleheads in there that are like, oh yeah, like lifting way too much weight because they think, oh yeah, man, I could lift 4 plates when I was in high school, and then they like end up dropping the thing on themselves or hurting their backs, and it's like, whoa, dude, just take it easy, bro.
Makes good people watching though.
Yeah, but not if you're behind him when he's dropping the freaking weight off his back doing squats,
That is true.
He doesn't even bother to put the safety bars up because he's like, I don't need safety bars.
Steer clear of those.
So, but yeah, anyway, we got some great...
This has been great. I think we got some great plans. Jared and I were able to plan, kind of a lot of the kind of this year future of the podcast and what we want to see and what we want to do. We're excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
You should be excited for it. There could be a ton of cool episodes and content and everything else. And so we will commit to continue to grow and to put forth effort and push out good content. And we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, hopefully this year will be a continued effort of motivation and motivating you and motivating ourselves to be better and exploring new things with interviews and stories of history. And then also experiences. We share our experiences, and we invite you on to share your experiences and other guests. And so that's our mantras.
Well, here's to 2023 where we can build our creeds together.
All right, let's do it.